Thank you very much. Happy to be here for hopefully a bit of a more normal game of League of Legends this time. Because last one was definitely a little bit of a brain bend. But Rebel, we have some returning picks
Yeah.
but mostly it's a lot of new champions. What do we think of these two team comps that have come together?
Okay. I'll just be blunt about this. I don't think I like SC's composition like at all. Like even if they win with this, because I think there are ways that they can win with this composition. I don't like anything that they've decided on here. I think this is a weird mosh podge of decisions to be like to have every player have an individual agency. This feels like a solo queue composition more than it feels like a competitive like identity composition, anything like that, as opposed to SGB, which feels exclusively like a competitive composition. That's not to say there's no fault, because I don't think they have a hyper carry. So that means if nobody gets ahead, I am worried about what they're going to do outside of just CCing the entirety of SE to death. The problem is that SE has given that option. So
yeah, it's very polite of them.
Yeah, very, very polite of them to draft 0 tanks, 0 ways to try to prevent any engage from coming through, 0 ways to just they have a lot of mobility. That's the one thing that they do have is a lot of their champions will play spread out and have ways to get away from everything. But it just, to me, this doesn't feel like it, Chief.
Yeah, I think the one thing that's going to be very difficult for SGB is, as you said, they don't have the hyper carry. Callista just doesn't fill that role in the ADC position. But Gwen does, except when she's against Jax.
Yeah, she's in a tough matchup. And I talked about this. I poked at it a little bit because I was kind of hoping that for the first time ever, we would actually see BJ in a position where they would put him on a more hyper carry style jungler like Kindred. Is what I wanted. Yeah, I wanted Kindred really bad because it's good to be.
Oh, hello! BJ's immediately come to the bot lane. They want to get onto Celebrity early. Wow. He goes low. He does go down. Taki low as well. But with Froggy here, he should be able to escort them out. And there's that SGB bloodlust.
Really incredible. And this is the reason why we actually didn't see B&J on something like the Kindred. And it's because they wanted something to play make for these lanes that set it up so effectively, right? Like when you have a Lysandra for a bunch of CC, a bunch of range to work with, when you've got an Alistar and a Callista to throw people in, you've got so much setup for your mid and bottom lane to really attack that side of the map that it's easy enough for B&J to just get very aggressive. And so here, it's Taki on his trademark Alistar, right? Like a little while back, he was like, everyone was playing this for some reason, but Taki was definitely one of the best, if not the best.
Picture in picture, Husmed's down.
Yeah, and we're going right back to the similar strategy we saw in the previous game, where it is just split map right now, where it's okay, we're playing for Shogun and we're playing for Emperor on the other side of the map, I guess, or at least to shut down Husmed, I suppose.
Interesting stuff, to say the least, and that is a little bit of as we watch this replay come out. I don't think it's going to be too interesting. Husmed.
Yeah, yep.
That bot lane dive was very classic SGB because it was super scripted.
It was, yeah. We knew them when they walked in with this like very young rookie squad that Ren had done so much to be able to script out their earlier stage of the game to make sure that they kind of knew everything that was going to happen in the first 5-10 minutes of the game, 15 minutes of the game, whatever it might be. And that was another really good example of it, where like the planning is always something that's been a strength for this Saigon roster. And there it is again. And again, this is a roster that bodes, or this is a composition that bodes really well for an early game plan like this, because they've got so much to capitalize on. Again, to me, there's not as much kind of flexibility in the champions themselves to do a bunch of individual work. Like I said, I don't think it carries nearly as hard as it needs to. But again, when it comes to these first 10, 15 minutes, if this game plan works out, they should be far enough ahead that it shouldn't matter all that much.
Froggy's dead.
Look at that. All right. Well, Dia1 just flexing a little bit. No Ignite, right? No electrocute. He's just running airy, and yet here he is on the LeBlanc, still finding a solo kill against Lysandra.
Okay. I mean, look, I think this was before your time in the VCS, before we captured you. When Dia1 was on Garm, we used to say, oh, look at that, Dia1, he's level 5, he's level 6. Put the camera on mid lane, the solo kill's coming. Yeah. Just wait.
I was around for the tail end of it, and I remember when he was on GAM, he used to be this Tristana abuser, and there were definitely times where the camera would miss solo kills, and we'd just be like, all right, Dia1's got 2 kills off screen for no reason. Oh, we're actually getting a chance
Froggy.
to see it too.
This is just silly.
He's getting autoed to death at this point.
He didn't take his E.
He didn't take his E!
Oh, Froggy.
Why even throw it?
I could have killed you there, man, and I'm terrible.
Yeah, that's just... again, I don't know if that's a boneheaded mistake, a misclick. I don't know what happened right there, but that was very obviously a mistake coming out from Froggy more than it was an outplay from Nia.
Ooh, a return to the bottom lane. Froggy is on the roam, but he doesn't end up finding anything, but he had shoved his wave in, so he loses nothing for it.
I do appreciate it that, like, again, Froggy in the past was also kind of known for this type of strategy where he just kind of blind pushes mid lane and then goes roaming as much as possible. It was like really famous for the Galio. The Lysandra fits this playstyle, and the cool thing about this matchup specifically is that's exactly what you're intended to do, right? There are other matchups where you're not supposed to do that because it's bad for you. You're not going to be healthy. You're not going to get the economy you want. But as the Lysandra, like, there should be no kill threat as the LeBlanc against the Lysandra, and you've got dramatically better wave clear even through first item as the Lysandra. So at no point should Froggy feel pressured to do anything. It's Hosmed versus Enper. He's got coverage from DNK.
Yeah, Enper goes over with the blast cone. Good movement, but another needlework will slow him down. Hosmed, if he can get that skip and snip, it comes up now, but a jump comes in and he's got no mana. He now has to go back and help out his jungler as DNK does land the tether. Oh, Dia1, never mind, coming forward. On the side, we have Shogun dying. One day we'll see a kill live. As, this might be the one. As Taki's in trouble, Celebrity will take him down.
Goodness gracious, across the map now, Saigon Buffalo just kind of falling to pieces right there. Should have found a kill against Enper, couldn't quite get it. And then you have to turn around as Hosmed to make sure that they don't bring down BJ. The bottom side of the map falls to pieces as well. Even BJ at this point is actually down an entire level to DNK. He wants his blue buff, but he's not going to get it. You're only level 5. He wants support from Froggy, but he's not going to get there fast enough. As Saigon, again, after last game, what had happened here? Oh, okay, this was... Yeah, it looks like it was Taki who also was like roaming out of lane just to make sure the gate's something. Oh my goodness, that was so close though.
It really was.
Oh,
that was one spear.
Again, this is like just weird misplay out of weird misplay, right? One spear shy of an extra, or like Taki, like maybe not auto attacking, like flash auto attacking right there, maybe made the difference of like Celebrity living or dying. You had maybe one auto attack of difference on Enper a second ago. You had Froggy not taking his E. This is really weird, like misplays from Saigon that are delivering these terrible situations that they now find themselves in a 1,500 gold lead.
That emote,
yeah,
I agree.
Yeah, he's right. Yeah, he got that one. I think. He about as key as he could have.
Yeah, he do be spitting. As but it does lead to this 1k gold lead for SBTC. Mm-hmm. They're in a much, much better position with this early game Titan that is Aphelios. Got to see if he can, manage the scaling. Of course, we all know, Aphelios really strong in the early game. That's why he gets this double kill. Like, I am right? I'm not making things up.
No, I think that's completely correct. Yeah, I've always known it to be that like definitely LeBlanc has solo kill potential against Lysandra, early game of Aphelios, all these normal things. Heck, I mean, Hosmed is like he's doing a really good job and obviously winning matchup with the Gwen into the Jax as well, right? Like every time we've been up here, it seems like the Jax is low health for some reason, and that's because obviously the matchup is just unplayable, right? Like everything, all of our expectations are being subverted right now.
Hang on to Dia1 they go. That's a lot of CC. Really he can't get away. Perfectly executed.
See, that's how this composition is designed, right? It's just it's like dog pile composition. I guess that's what I'll call it. It's like Taki jumps in or Froggy jumps in, you start CCing, and then somebody just gets CC'd to death. Which is funny because we talked about how strong that Celebrity will be all the Aphelios, joking about, okay, he's got a double kill because he's an early game, but he's not an early game champion. Eventually will be this powerhouse. But the problem is he's got no cleanse. Even if he goes like Quicksilver Sash or if he goes into something like that, it's not going to help him because there's 100 CC moves. So they have to find an engagement ahead of time, but they don't have anybody great to do that. It's like Paulette can do that. DNK can kind of jump in. Maybe Enver can jump in. But again, when it comes to the CC, there's nothing to block it. So Celebrity's still going to be in a tough place unless they really, really snowball from here on out. And Saigon, again, their composition is kind of designed for specifically this purpose. So I don't think they're in a trouble spot by any standard, even though they're down 1,000 gold.
Yeah, I mean, I do think it's going to be hard for Shogun to have an impact outside of being a Taki delivery system, which to be fair is not bad. But it's not exactly what you want out of your AD carry, not what you want out of your Callista. As we do see BJ having a mosey towards the bot lane. Looking at this top lane matchup at the moment.
Yes. We get, I'm assuming this is because at some point in the next minute or so, we're going to get plays on both the top and bottom side of the map at one time. So
yeah, of course.
I'm just anticipating that. Actually, okay, wait, BJ was backing there for a second, actually decided to cancel it as only just now as DNK actually heading down to the bottom side of the map.
Dia1 there is actually on the move as well.
Yeah. I see that. And TP is available from Froggy as well if they want to go to the defensive bottom tower if necessary, but they're going to turn back to mid lane. Yeah, there's a lot of things happening. It looked like the wheels were turning there for a second, but it appears as though the brakes got pushed. Somebody decided to stop the bus.
But we got to see Gwen's auto attack animation.
We did.
That's
that
what
was
really
really cool.
matters.
I think that's why all of us show up here. So.
Sorry, that really tickled me.
Yeah,
that really got me. As we do see Froggy just going back as well, is doing fine in the matchup, aside from that one solo kill, of course. He is up in CS. The top lane, I mean, as much as we're joking about looking at it, it's pretty bad for Hazmed.
Yeah.
It's not his fault. This is an unplayable matchup for Gwen, as much as we were joking before. But Enpa on a Fed Jax with the form this man's been in, I'm scared. I'm scared, Rebel.
Yeah, it'll be very, very good for side laning in the later part of the game. I'm also a little bit terrified of everything that's going to happen. Again, Emperor just continues to abuse
Shogun in so much trouble, so much CC coming out of that Nautilus, and it's an easy kill. We go immediately up to the top side where DNK's had to heartbreak away. There's a counter-strike covering him off. Taki coming in from the side, though. They really want to make this play. And can they do it with a Lissandra ult? They can. DNK goes down. Emperor alive under the tower. The Frozen Thrall does not quite finish him. So it'll just be the one kill for Saigon Buffalo.
Yeah, I was gonna wonder if they decide to hover around the top lane just to see if they could get some more plates. But the problem is SE has now kind of swapped, or at least their bottom lane is making a lot better impact in this game on their own, because you can see 4 plates now for the Aphelios. Celebrity is going to be an absolute monster walking into this one. There have been strike backs as it's been Taki trying to find roams. Again, that's when Shogun's been getting punished the most, is the second that Taki walks out of lane. It's been an immediate engagement coming through from Paulette, which is good on Paulette and good on Celebrity to communicate that they need to be able to take advantage of that. And I think Saigon wanted to try to salvage the top lane matchup to some extent, because again, I think Hazmed's their best late game damage here when it comes to trying to put through damage through multiple members at once. The Gwen is basically the only thing they've got for that. So I suppose that's their reasoning here, is they're like, okay, if we can play into top lane a little bit more, then we don't have to worry about late game damage, because that at least helps salvage Hazmed's role in this.
They try and catch on to Taki there, but it is an Alistair, so no problems. But just continues to farm up a storm as that Divine Sunderer. And I mean, looking at everything that's developing, I agree with you that Hazmed's their best chance, but how do they actually enable him?
Great question. Well, I mean, CC, at some point, Hazmed's going to be able to be broken out of this laning phase, whether it's through his tower going down or something else.
Onto Dia1 they go, but they don't get him low enough. Yes, they do. The red buff burn.
Wow, yeah.
Enpa dies. Hazmed solo kills him.
Okay. Everything about this game is
here
we
go. The upside down land that we painted earlier, apparently it came true. Should have known with an Aussie on the cast. Oh my word. What has just gone on? We need a replay top.
Yeah, well, we'll get a chance to see that in a second. I think we're still posturing around bottom lane because there's more action to be had. Oh, okay. All right, we're just poking away. WQ came out. Nothing crazy about that one. I think we're just waiting around maybe for Dragon. I think SE is just trying to make sure that they can snag Drake here in a second, and it's going to be an advantage taken by Saigon. They're going to say, okay, well,
they get this tower as well.
They should, yes, I agree with that. Now, the one fear is like if they are too slow on the Dragon pull, then they could get engaged on from a pretty decent distance. So this was the mid lane play. This is the one we don't care about. We already saw this one. Yes, we get a follow. Yes, we get red smite. Yes, this is the tick damage. But yes, very cool. Thank you very much. Yes, Dia dies. All right, now show us the cool one.
It was just the Q.
It was actually just his ultimate and his Q. Yeah, that was it. Wow. Okay, never mind. You didn't have to show us that.
But yeah, I mean, just a good play there by Hazmed. Just got that true damage from the snip, and cut him down.
Yep. It was nice. And again, Hazmed self-salvaging. Again, earlier on in the laning phase, he was actually having really good trades, and Emperor looking like there were multiple situations where like a kill could have gone through. Saigon also got the worst end of the trade deal, unfortunately, in that circumstance, because they lost the Dragon and first tower to Celebrity, which is problematic. Again, the Aphelios is very strong. I talked about how it's not the biggest of problems, but again, it's something to at least keep track of. But now Saigon is a little bit more unleashed because they've got their entire map prepared for this Death Squad to be roaming and the CC Squad to be roaming around just as much as possible. Little off-brand superhero action with the CC Squad.
Now, Rebel, I do need to tell you something. It's quite alarming. So just brace yourself. because
I'm alarmed.
this might signal the end times. Froggy's
Okay.
up 40 CS.
Yes. I talked about the theoretical physics behind this. I'm sure Clockwork could probably get into it as well, just because we've been doing quite a bit of math in the offseason about this. But I believe that because Gam is currently in a slump, that means the extra dimensional portal that typically the CS gets pulled by Levi in order. This is all memes from before. Anybody who's never watched is never going to understand it. I don't know why I'm doing this bit right now. Yeah, Froggy. Here's the crux of it for anybody who doesn't know. Froggy used to be really, really, really bad. Like stupendously bad at this video game, to the point where he was probably the worst mid laner. He is no longer the worst mid laner. He still has his problems, but at one point he used to be down perpetually 40 CS. I think at one point he averaged like 6.3, like below his jungler in terms of CS per minute. And now it's not the case. So that's why we give him applause whenever he has a nice CS lead, because it was very rare back in the day.
It was. And Enpa now is in a lot of trouble as he's got a lot of boys around him. Husband throwing out more needles. BJ and Froggy going on in, locking him down, and BJ will get the kill.
Holy, I have become such a fan of BJ, man. Like there was a time and a place where, like, especially during the winter, we were so critical of BJ, and I think it was warranted as well, because he came in during like Hecarim Udyr meta, he showed up, and then it came to normal standard meta, and it seemed like he couldn't play a damn thing. And then out of nowhere, he's just like a superstar for the team, which is really, really cool. I love to see that they were able to develop this guy to become an actual star.
And they catch the Aphelios. They put a lot of damage in. They need to finish him off. Oh, no, they can't. He manages to get some distance. Can they actually take down Celebrity? Finally, yes. They can. And SE, the wheels are off the wagon. They're down in gold. The Herald is summoned up. And Rebel, SGB is stampeding.
They are. Again, once they were able to get broken out, once they were able to start taking advantage of all this AoE CC together as a full squad, it was a lot easier to actually manage this. As that's Taki brought down before, Shogun can show up.
Ooh, BJ needs to be careful. Enpa has to burn his flash, going incredibly low. Gets finished off by the Everfrost. Enpa, mate, what are you doing? The corpse Emperor.
Yeah, it's really, really tough. Okay, goodness gracious. Once again, it's a nice kind of engagement afterwards from SE as they find this perfect timer to kill off Taki before Shogun's able to show up and pull him out with the Fate's Call. But then afterwards, again, they just keep getting cultists. DJ?
He lives. Slivers, slivers, slivers.
Q.
B&K.
No, Celebrity, you get out of here. We're watching the 3 health fight.
This is a jungler fight. Go away. Oh, Day1 gets the easiest kill of his career. Easiest shutdown he will ever get.
Oh, goodness gracious. I'm upset that they decided to break the jungle feud that was happening underneath that tower, because BJ was winning that, absolutely, over top of DNK. But again, it's Saigon who are able to find, when they're playing together as one cohesive squad, it feels really nice. When SE is individual, when like they have their individual components kind of working against one member of Saigon, usually it's going okay for themselves, which is why I think this game is like in between the lines of the big stuff. SE is looking like they're accomplishing things, but Saigon Buffalo in the grand moments are doing rather well.
Very true. And now Enpa down 0-3 has actually lost his CS lead completely to Husmed. So Husmed is just very far ahead.
Okay. So can we talk about this really weird thing that whenever Husmed sucks for a while and we're like, oh, Husmed might not be the best top laner anymore, then immediately becomes the best top laner just long enough for us to be like, oh, what are we talking about? Husmed's the best top laner. Like, it happens every single time. How did they not kill him here also? Okay, I guess they just didn't have the damage. He flashed at the back. He popped his heal as well. Okay, there's a lot of things that went into it right there. And then I like that. Something that I was missing is that, like, again, BJ is actually so strong that his damage is incredibly impactful inside of fights like this. So I was like, they don't really have a hyper carry. But the thing is, with like Lissandra kills, with Lee Sin's damage, they kind of patchwork together enough damage to make all fights work, because they've got enough of this like ambient damage that just exists in the champions to really just finish things off, which is kind of nice.
Enpa, that's a real blunder.
Yeah, it's tough. He's too far forward in the fight. He wants to make things happen. He was trying to pressure off BJ to jump in and try to kill DNK. I'm pretty sure was his intention there, and does end up costing his life. So maybe there's some problem, or at least some of this should be attributed to his teammate in DNK, like just getting up and into the face, making the play happen, and Ataki being too far forward himself after getting punished right there. They trade the one kill for another kill.
Paulette, it was all his fault. But caught in the red buff area. He does have friends around.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah, he's got a lot of friends, but they've kind of left him.
He was stuck for so long. That's like the death timer that matches your CC timer. It's like 8 seconds and you're CC for all of them. You're like, okay, that's fair and balanced. Okay, that's sick.
Yeah, they put him they put him in the cage, and now they're on the Baron. This is risky though. DNK is of course close enough, has the Heartbreaker to get over the wall as well. So this could end up in a smite fight, but he's walking away from the wall. Dia1 going in, doing a lot of damage, has to immediately get back out. Enpa uses the counter strike. DNK still in range. Heartbreaks forward and steals it away. There it is. The Steel Prince once more comes in. SE win the fight as well, and SGB have just thrown away their lead.
It's just a disastrous situation coming through here. SE, the fact that they had the goal to go walk in there 4v5, they knew the one ultimate or the two ultimates, I think, were down in the grand scheme of things, and they were still able to walk in with all of their members, still able to focus on specifically the condition that they were looking for in going for the Baron and the fight. I was surprised that they got the Baron. Again, the steal coming through was miraculous.
But
this right here, yeah, that's what did it. And it's DNK who's able to kind of make like the really big play and the Baron steal happen. But I think even if they lose the Baron and win the fight after, that's still a winning play from the side of SE. And Celebrity was actually the one that made that happen. The big Aphelios ultimate coming through there would have been all the difference in the world to be able to kill off all the members coming through. The best they would have gotten is like Taki would have got out with Baron buff, which wouldn't have led to all that much. But now SE commanding really sizable lead inside of this game. It's a great position for them to find themselves in, because this is not a composition that wins when they're like really far down, and now they've got enough gold to really make it work.
I mean, now you have a situation where everything was starting to go right for SGB. I think if they pick up that Baron, it's almost a nail in the coffin. But now you have a 5-2 Aphelios, a fairly strong Viego.
Yeah,
I think with this Baron buff essentially giving them a minute and a half where SGB just don't have agency on the map, SE, they have to just be the heavy favorites.
It's such a tough one to call, because again, I'm still so worried about the fact that SE has no way to absorb, like there's no shock absorbers here for any of the CC that's coming in. So Saigon can still assassinate very easily Celebrity, right? If his flash, if his heal is down, he's got QSS, but that's the only tool he's got. I'm almost an advocate here for Colette buying a Mikhail's just so that Celebrity has another way to get out of some of the CC storm that could be coming his way in the wrong circumstance. But yeah, if they land one solid CC chain, if BJ is able to land a Q and get on a backline, maybe they have threat. But now at least their carries are strong.
Part of the problem is it's not, a lot of it's not cleansable CC. You can really only cleanse the Froggy CC. You can't do anything about Alistair, you can't do anything about the Callista knock-up, and the Lee Sin kick isn't cleansable either.
I think the intent, I guess that's why Mikhail's isn't necessary here, because if you've got QSS and you get locked up with like Froggy CC, you could at least then immediately flash away from the rest of it that's inevitably coming towards your position at that time. So maybe the Mikhail's isn't the greatest of ideas. I just would have figured that was the case. But it doesn't matter, because again, they're actually exploiting this pretty well on the side of SE. They're using this gold lead. They're just putting it in as many places as possible, pulling as many structures as they can, getting as much gold out as they can as well from this Baron buff, just to make sure that this gold lead is high enough that they've got enough carries that it doesn't matter who they pick off at the beginning of a fight.
They will pick up this bot lane inner. Froggy gets away. It just feels like as long as Celebrity keeps his head cool, if he has his flash up, he's almost unkillable. But as soon as his flash is down, he is a sack of gold.
He is, yes. He also has to be very careful with BJ, because again, BJ's got more than enough damage to just assassinate him or kick him back into the rest of the team. And again, if his flash and his heal are still up, maybe he lives it if he burns everything and his team kind of works for it. But the intention behind that, I don't think, is even necessarily killing him. But if you put him in the wrong place in a fight, then Celebrity already is out of position enough to where the fight is probably lost from the side of SE. So you have to be careful of that, as well as BJ, dislocating him from a proper positioning inside of a fight.
Let's see if they can execute it, because the burden of execution is definitely now on SGB with that mistake around the Baron. Of course, Enpa, even though we're not super impressed with his Jax performance so far, still has the potential to scale up.
Very much.
Playing the Jax, of course. Viego resets are something to watch as well as we go. Arky moving forward, but can't actually find anything. Froggy, in he goes, gets a lot of CC down, but immediately ults himself, and no damage has come out on the other side. That's 3 ultimates.
So much. Yeah, 2 ultimates at least gone right now from the side of Saigon Buffalo. They just have to leave, though. You're good. No, it's fine. All their ultimates do like the same thing, and they all interact with each other, so it's really difficult to count. I agree. I thought it was 3 to start with as well. I you know what? I actually don't hate this. From the side of Saigon Buffalo, they're fishing before a fight starts with ultimates from a pretty safe range, and SE don't want to get tagged with anything, so they play really defensively, and then they give up Dragon, which isn't the biggest deal because they've got more than enough time. They got 10 more minutes from this point right here to still find a fight that they can look for that can turn this game back into their favor. And so I don't mind them fishing a little bit with ultimates as long as it doesn't cost them like a big fight, right? That was a situation where SE was so terrified of like actually getting engaged on that they had to leave like as fast as possible. And so Saigon were able to just like walk away as soon as they were done with it. Now, if SE kill all of them, then it's problematic. Then you could be a little bit concerned. But I think that was the right time to pull the trigger.
Yeah, I agree. I think my gut reaction was that it was a really bad situation, but I completely agree with you.
I was the same way,
yeah. You may as well fish. You didn't get punished. Why not? The ults are back up.
Yeah, you didn't fall off the boat, thankfully. SE also, they showed off really heavily in that fight what I was talking about earlier, which is that I don't like their composition as a team fighting comp, but also all of them have mobility, and so nothing stuck right there. It was really difficult. Like Froggy got in the middle of the team. I don't think you can ult yourself unless you're really in danger if you're the Lysandra in this case, but when he did, all it did was slow down a couple of members, but it doesn't matter when you've got dashes and you've got blinks and things that get you out of bad situations. And so SE, like, they just didn't have to get stuck. It's the hard CC they have to be worried about, which came from Fate's call, comes from Taki more than it comes from Froggy, I think, most of the time, as long as that ult isn't burnt on somebody.
I'll have to see, as Baron is back on the map and SE have prime positioning around it.
Ooh.
Now that crab drops as well, they can start this one, and SGB has to come and try and suss it out. I think this just goes down. Look at Paulette, the gatekeeper.
Yeah, okay, wait. Why is Emperor even TPing here? I don't think it's even necessary. Unless they're looking for a fight.
They want to take a fight on the backside, I think, as Paulette takes a little bit of damage, but a little bit is all it will be. And now SGB just has to leave. SE, they're playing this incredibly controlled and incredibly well.
Yeah, right there, you just have to position a lot further up. They knew Emperor was in a side lane, which is why I'm super shocked they didn't just kind of bum rush in, because there's who's the bouncer here from the side of SE? Who are they really worried about? You've got so many safety tools on the side of like SGB that SE was somehow able to like strong arm into not just like walking into the Barren River like with multiple members. And I'm shocked about it because there's nobody that's really that threatening specifically, unless like LeBlanc one-shots somebody. But I don't know, with 3 or 4 members around, I feel like you're not that concerned with that happening. That is until Hazmed walks blind into the brush and just ends up getting brought down as well. Shogun's also under threat of that whenever there's a lapse of vision around him, of just LeBlanc or DNK potentially jumping over and just full killing him in one shot, which is something a little fearful. Maybe that's why, but like when there's 4 people around you, I feel like you just walk in blind, especially when you know you have numbers advantage.
Yeah, I mean, I don't necessarily... I'm trying to think how to phrase this, because on one hand, I understand SGB not wanting to lose the game instantly, right?
Yeah.
Walking into a strong Aphelios is terrifying. And, like, is this Baron going to end the game for SE?
Probably not.
Does the gold actually matter? I don't necessarily think so, because I don't think 7,000 gold saves you from the SGB wombo.
Maybe.
Right?
The other hand of this is Saigon have to find an opportunity, right? Like if they don't, they lose this game because SE will just beat them over the head with the gold that they've collected over the course of this game. And so it's up to Saigon to find the right moment. I'm trying to suss out, whether or not the moment is right and give options as to whether that could have been the case. That was a 4v5 that they could have taken, but it was into an entrenched Ophelia. So I do see why that's not the case. But I'm going to critique it all the time because if they lose this game, then they would have no options.
Yeah, Froggy moving forward, the heartbreak from DNK, very well done there.
They're trying to find this. Oh, actually, do SE, you want this one?
Thinking about it. DNK finding a little bit of CC. They're just poking this in. They just want to walk the minion wave forward.
This is reminding me of the first game, Carix. It took 20 minutes to get to the point where we stopped fighting, but again, everybody's just not fighting. Now we get fighting.
Yeah, we absolutely do. As they go in, DNK will be the first one to go down. I think Emperor's going to follow him to the grave as well. 2 big kills going out of nowhere for SGB.
finally find some CC train onto multiple members here, onto from the side of Saigon into SE. And this is the fear again. If Emperor, if DNK, if a couple of members get brought down, there's no one really to do anything afterwards. And the biggest thing is like if you can pressure off Celebrity in the way that happened, I'll explain in a second. But if you pressure off this backline and you have no damage behind it, then there's actually no reason for Emperor and DNK to be going down at all. In fact, Saigon might not be going for Dragon. They might be just going for a base rush. They might be looking for an inhibitor or something like that, which is exactly what they need to be doing. Because again, there is no fight to come out here from the side of SE that I think actually is beneficial to them. They at least grabbed the tower. Now they're going to turn back to Dragon. I thought maybe they'd force even further, but the death timer on DNK is short enough that they're a little bit worried about him returning to the fight.
Here we have this replay, and we want to see how Celebrity was zoned on.
Hazmed, yeah. Hazmed kept at least Dia1 out of the fight, which is really big and really kind of cool. How Celebrity's so far back? He's just terrified, I guess. But I feel like he could have been further up to start with. Maybe he was really worried about like a flash coming through from Froggy or something like that, hitting him in the back line.
Taki as well, I think.
Yeah, Taki had burnt stuff on the way in, so he had no cooldowns left, which is why I was at least a little bit. I'm a little critical about Celebrity right there, although I do understand the fact that he wants to keep these cooldowns as much as possible. If he burns those things, he's got like 4-minute window where anybody can attack him at any time. And so he has to make sure that he's using them in really big, important moments. Otherwise, it's just waste. Right there, it was 2 kills, a 3rd dragon. You didn't bleed that much back in the same way that like the 7,000 gold lead didn't matter that much for SE. The gold going to Saigon doesn't suddenly make this composition more unbearable. It just is unbearable with their Wombo in one case or another.
Very true, but the game, it suddenly feels a lot closer than the gold would suggest. As you said, it's just a burden of execution from both teams. 4 minutes away from potential Ocean Soul for Saigon. Not the most useful Ocean Soul ever, I don't think. I'm going to be honest.
It's pretty useless on both sides.
Like, yeah. It just makes your clothes wet.
Yeah, I mean, like, Saigon doesn't have mostly consistent damage. It's a lot of Wombo instant, and so they're usually not, like, taking a really extended fight, except for maybe Hazmed. Hazmed Shogun might, like, use it pretty effectively. And the other side is, like, it's really useful if Celebrity wants to carry the back end of a fight, or DNK maybe wants to carry the back end of a fight. But outside of that, it's not going to save you if you get CC'd to death, right? And that's going to happen to 1, maybe 2 people inside of a team fight most of the time from Saigon, even when you're winning. So, like, I don't know, that Ocean Soul fixes that. So I feel like this is just a timer that they're fighting for to get a little bit of stats, but then also, again, to eventually get us to an Elder Dragon, because we're 35 minutes into this game, Carrix, and it still feels like it's anyone's game. We're still just waiting for perfect fights on both sides.
DNK moving in, but now he's a little bit alone, uses that ultimate to get away. Now he's on a flank, Taki in the middle of the enemy team. Celebrity, so far unpressured, tagged up by a Sonic Wave. In goes BJ, but immediate stopwatch means that they can't get anything done. SGB are getting cleaned out of this fight as SE charge forward. Froggy goes gold. Shogun might be able to get one back onto Enpa, but that's going to be it as the Buffalo melt away. Shogun tries to be a hero, but he is just a 0. As SGB are left with nothing on the map, and I think they might just lose this game.
Yeah, it's a number of different situations right there where like Saigon felt like they needed something to stick, but the big member I was watching was BJ trying to push out Celebrity. Celebrity still had Flash, he still had Heal, he still had Gale Force, he still had Merc, and he still had Stopwatch, and all 5 of them got burnt and wasted all of BJ's time. And because of that, he got nothing done. The Dragon's Rage kick didn't end up going through. That was supposed to be the Lich Pin for the fight, and it got stalled so long, eventually not even going off, and SE end up winning the game off the back of it, playing extremely well around all of this Wombo, making sure